You know, we spend so much of our lives online, firing off likes, posts, messages, you name it. We just hit send and expect it to work. But what happens when it doesn't? Well, behind the curtain, there's this huge invisible system that springs into action. And today, we're going to take a peek at that hidden world and find out how the internet actually saves your lost messages. So, just to get a sense of the scale we're talking about, look at this number: 2,130,000,000. That was the number of monthly active users on Facebook back in 2017. That's just one platform years ago. The numbers today, they're just staggering. I mean, really think about that. Every single day, billions upon billions of tiny little pieces of information are just zipping across the planet. Every single one is a little packet of data with a starting point and a destination. We completely take it for granted, right? You hit like, your friend sees it. You send a DM, it just pops up on their phone. But what's the actual plumbing, the hidden machinery that makes all of this happen so reliably for trillions of interactions? Okay, the absolute best way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like an invisible, super fast postal service. It's basically a digital post office that handles all of your data. So in the tech world, every one of those actions, a post, a like, a direct message, is called a message. And just like a letter you drop in a mailbox, it has to be sorted, routed, and delivered. This all happens in a system called a message queue, which is basically a giant automated sorting facility for data. And the comparison is pretty spot on, right? On one side, you've got the physical post office we all know. On the other, it's digital twin. They both deliver things, they both have complex sorting systems, and, most importantly, they are both obsessed with making sure stuff actually gets where it's supposed to go. But look, with billions of these messages flying around every second, things are bound to go wrong. It's just inevitable. A server crashes, some code has a bug, a connection drops. So what happens when a digital letter just can't be delivered? Well, it turns out there are some really specific reasons a digital message might fail. And what's kind of funny is how much they sound like the reasons your package from Amazon might not show up. It's pretty wild how intuitive these are when you think about it. Like mail, a message can be sent to a wrong address. A part of the system that just isn't there anymore. A server's mailbox can be full. It just gets overloaded. The message itself, the package, could be too big for the system. And yeah, just like a real package, it can be returned to sender, it can time out, or it can just get rejected after too many failed attempts. Okay, so you'd probably think that a failed message just gets deleted, right? Poof, into some digital trash can, never to be seen again. But if companies did that, they'd be flying blind. They'd have no idea what went wrong or how to fix it. And that brings us to the real hero of our story, the dead letter queue. Yep, if message queuing is the digital post office, then the dead letter queue, or DLQ for short, is the digital dead letter office. It's a special place where all the undeliverable mail ends up. So here's the official kind of techie definition. It's a service built to store messages that the system can't or shouldn't deliver. The most important thing to get here is that it's not a garbage can, it's a filing cabinet. These dead letters aren't just thrown away. They're carefully saved, along with clues about why they failed to be delivered in the first place. This creates this incredibly valuable log that engineers can use to figure out what's broken in the system. So why should you care about some obscure bit of tech infrastructure? Well, because this unsung hero is one of the main reasons the apps and websites you use every day don't just randomly crash and burn. It makes them feel seamless. See, the real magic of the DLQ is that it lets engineers play detective. As one source puts it, it enables analysis of common fault patterns and potential software problems. This means they can spot trends, like if one specific bug is causing a ton of messages to fail, or if a certain server is just constantly overwhelmed. This whole thing creates this powerful feedback loop. Let's say a new feature rolls out and it's got this tiny bug that makes every 100th like fail. Without a DLQ, those likes would just vanish. But with the DLQ, engineers would see thousands of failed like messages piling up, all pointing to the same error. They could trace it back, fix the bug, and boom, problem solved before millions of people even notice. That's why your like doesn't just disappear into the void. And look, this isn't some obscure little trick used by a few startups. We're talking about the biggest names in the game. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they all rely on dead letter queues to keep their massive services running smoothly. So really, the dead letter queue is the internet's hidden safety net. It's a simple idea, but it's so powerful. Don't just delete your failures, learn from them. It's what allows these massive, complex systems to be so surprisingly resilient. So the next time you post a photo or send a message, just take a second to remember that vast, invisible post office working behind the scenes, complete with its own little office for lost mail. It really makes you wonder what other invisible systems are firing away right now just to keep our digital world turning.